Ripple and XRP, of course, continue to be in the spotlight. June 17th, though, that's an important date that you may not be aware of right now, and we certainly need to watch out for that. I'm going to explain why. Also, we're seeing a major influx of money into Ripple in the form of major whales who have been and are about to buy XRP. Furthermore, Ripple blockchain has also been seeing much more adoption, and so things are continuing to look good for Ripple, for XRP. We're taking a closer look in this video as to why we think the price of XRP is about to explode. Welcome to the channel. My name is Maddie and this is Altcoin Buzz. All the best of luck if you choose to invest. If you are in this space, if you occupy it in one form or another, then I genuinely wish you well. Just remember that I'm not a financial or investment advisor. That means by extension that this video is not official financial or investment advice. So like I said, we have three reasons specifically as to why, in general, we ought to be bullish about Ripple and the price of XRP. The first of those reasons at number one is the XRP ETF approvals, which seem to be closing in. As we've been covering, various XRP ETF applications have already been filed. And that's not necessarily significant on its own because anybody can file an ETF application. But XRP currently has the highest number of ETF filings. And I think that says something about anticipation for investor client demand. It certainly has some value. And these applications have been filed by some big names, including Bitwise, 21 Shares, Canary Capital, Grayscale, Franklin Templeton, ProShares, Wisdom Tree, CoinShares, Volatility Shares, Hashdex, the list just keeps going, MEMX, and Teucrium. Now, these include standalone funds and also those where XRP is going to be part of a broader basket of different holdings. So there's a pretty wide variety here as well. And so obviously there are some big names that are among this list. Keep in mind that the next SEC decision for an XRP ETF is on the 17th of June. That's why I highlighted that date a moment ago. This is for the Franklin Templeton ETF filing specifically. And so that means that on this date, again, the 17th of June, the SEC is going to have three options. They can either approve the filing, very simply, they can disapprove it, or they can start proceedings to evaluate further. Now, in all likelihood, it's expected that the SEC is going to want to take that third option and evaluate further, kind of the equivalent of kicking the can down the road as far as an option. And I say that's the most likely, the most probable option that they'll take because, as you may remember, that's actually exactly what happened with both the BTC and the ETH ETF filings. However, there have been some changes within the Securities and Exchange Commission. Instead of making life hard for crypto projects, the SEC now is actually singing a pretty different tune. That's because we do have Paul Atkins as the chair, meaning there's a possibility at least that the SEC may actually approve this XRP ETF filing next week. I wouldn't necessarily bank on that. I wouldn't bet on it, but at least it's a higher possibility, higher probability than it used to be now with Paul Atkins at the helm. And to put everything in perspective here a little better, Franklin Templeton is one of the bigger players here that I mentioned. They've got over $1.5 trillion in assets under management, trillion with a T. Templeton is also one of the first that launched a BTC ETF. They made the filing through the CBOE BZX exchange, and that's the same exchange that handled most major spot ETF approvals, such as BTC and ETH. But then again, on the other hand, if the SEC asks for more time to evaluate, again, still in my opinion, the most likely outcome, then the latest deadlines are the 18th and 19th of October. So that's part of the whole 240-day review period. These are for the Grayscale and 21 Shares filings. In other words, it is very likely that there will be an XRP spot ETF, perhaps not June 17th, but at some point in 2025. I'm happy to say that, yes, there's actually good reason to believe that's going to happen this year. Another thing to take into account, take into consideration, is the NASDAQ, which filed the 8K form. So this expands their crypto benchmark index from 5 to 7 assets. They're adding 4 new assets, and those are XRP, ADA, SOL, S-O-L, and XLM. The deadline for this is the 2nd of November. And then we have BlackRock, which is also in the mix. As usual, I guess, Larry Fink apparently is in talks with Paul Atkins. Fink is, of course, BlackRock's CEO. They are the biggest investment firm in the world. And it seems that BlackRock also wants to file an XRP spot ETF, not too surprisingly. So really all of these individually, but also taken together, represent pretty positive developments. An XRP spot ETF approval could also pretty much guarantee positive price action in terms of the XRP token price. And the chances, like I said, of such an XRP spot ETF are pretty high, currently 87% according to the collective wisdom of Polymarket.
Do you even surge, bro?
Strange, but let's now talk about the recent inflow of money into Ripple, beginning with Weebus here. One of the involved parties is the Chinese-based Weebus firm. This is an AI-driven mobility solution. So they specialize in, for instance, worldwide premium and customizable chauffeur services. The company is also listed on the NASDAQ WETO, and they want to set up an XRP strategic reserve, kind of like what actually Michael Saylor is doing for Bitcoin, the same thing with XRP. And this XRP strategic reserve is pretty sizable. We're talking something on the order of $300 or so million. So that's a serious investment. Samara Alpha Management is helping with the deal. This is a top-tier SEC registered investment advisor. And Weebus plans to install this strategy in phases, actually. So you're going to have tiered deployment. The actual investment still needs to start. It hasn't been initiated as of yet, as of this recording. Another company, Hyperscale Data, plans to buy $10 million worth of XRP. Hyperscale Data provides data center solutions, and their primary focus is on supporting the AI industry. They operate in the United States, in Europe, and in the Middle East. And Hyperscale plans to launch an XRP lending platform for United States public companies. This is expected to take place at some point in Q3 2025. For this, they go through their subsidiary Capital Group, and only public companies listed on the New York Stock Exchange can use the platform. So it is quite evident that there is serious and very considerable institutional interest here in XRP. Very bullish, certainly. And the third reason to be bullish here is just in general the fact that we're seeing more Ripple blockchain adoption. Ripple has already obviously some strong partnerships going on for its XRPL. That's its blockchain, the XRP ledger. And these partnerships are definitely proving that Ripple and its XRP token are more than just a speculative digital asset, as some of the detractors would call it. It's actually a currency that works with real-world use cases in very pragmatic real-world ways. If we first consider some of the older, more established partnerships, certainly we have to mention Cambridge Global Payments. This is a partnership that goes all the way back to 2018. I'm going to call them CGP. They streamline cross-border transactions effectively, and they do this within 3 to 5 seconds. Compared to more traditional methods, CGP offers a reduced rate by as much as 33%. Tranglo is another one. They are a leading cross-border payment specialist in Asia. Ripple acquired a 40% share in Tranglo back in 2021, 4 years ago. And for context, since that year, in 2021, SME transactions, so small and medium enterprises, their transactions surged by 1,729%. And as far as its network, Tranglo currently covers more than 70 countries. And then we also have MoneyGram, which is a strategic partnership that dates all the way back to 2019. This, of course, is used for fast and low-cost Forex settlements. Now, all of these are all services that offer on-chain global payments systems, the same as I mentioned really at the beginning of the video. But now we can also add the VARA, that's VARA, to this list. This is the Dubai Financial Services Authority. And this means that you can use XRP now for global money transfers through Dubai. XRP is actually the only crypto licensed by the UAE's VARA, UAE, of course, being the United Arab Emirates. Ripple's stablecoin RLUSD, they're also now approved by VARA as an officially recognized crypto token. Furthermore, and this is a big one here, UAE banks will now integrate XRP and the XRPL into their banking system. And finally, in the blockchain adoption area, XRP is creating its own EVM sidechain to link to the XRPL. EVM, of course, is the home for DeFi, so this, in most people's opinions, represents a smart move from the team. So really, any way you slice it, Ripple keeps growing. They keep expanding. The strategic partnerships keep impressing. And if they want to achieve a $1 trillion market cap, they also need these partnerships and investments, of course, but I think it's safe to say that they're on that path. We have a current market cap, as I record, of 136.9, so just under $137 billion. Ripple, or I should say XRP, is up a little over 1% on the day. Right now, $2.33. To get to that $1 trillion market cap, we're looking at about a 7x from here. In my opinion, that's almost guaranteed not to happen in this cycle, so I don't want to provide any false hopium here. But if you look at the way they're setting up as a company with these global partnerships, with these big, ambitious, ultra lofty, very ambitious plays, I think that could be in the cards in the future. They're just lined up really well in a strategic sense to achieve that one day. Let me know your thoughts about this. XRP is a fan favorite in a lot of ways, but it's also controversial in other ways. Be sure to join our discussion in the comments below. Also, by the way, on X and on Discord, you can find those links in the description of this video.